Well, good afternoon, boys, girls, and those who haven't decided yet. It's DK here. I forgot I was around, huh? Yeah, I know. I haven't posted anything in forever. I've been working on music with my band and other things, so I just haven't been doing too many projects. But here we have a gig bag, a Gibson USA gig bag, a very nice, soft, plushy inside Gibson USA gig bag. A little dirty on the outside, but we do have a guitar inside. So let's take a look at what that is. We're going to fix it up, and I'll tell you a little story about it. It is mine, and I need more guitars like I need a hole in the head. But I also needed a project because I get bored. I've played a bunch of gigs with my band. I made a record. That was a lot of fun. That was why the channel wasn't getting updated. And what we have, what is it? What is it? Can you tell? Can you tell? Oh my gosh, it's a Les Paul Junior. An Epiphone one. It's an Epiphone Junior, excuse me. Apparently Les doesn't like Epiphones, so I couldn't let him put his name on it. I don't know. But this actually was at the pawn shop. Pawn shop is currently having a 25 or more % off sale. This one was purchased for 50% off, and that's good. And considering the neck on it is pretty good. The action is okay. I can get it better. It's got the stock pickup in it, to my knowledge, and the condition of it isn't too bad. The only thing I see is that the previous owner may have let things dry out a little bit. Now the frets are not jutting out, but you can see where the finish itself has, you can see where the finish is kind of lifted a little bit when the neck kind of shrank. There's a couple little spots here where the finish kind of nicked by the frets, but it hasn't caused an ugly speed bump or anything. So as far as being totally playable, this should be a totally playable guitar. It's very dirty, but I intend to fix it up, and if making it play well shouldn't be a problem. Making it sound good, if need be, I have in my piled junk, instead of the stock pickup, if the stock pickup sounds like crap, I have a Seymour Duncan JB that I can stick in it. But as far as the general condition goes, it's dirty, it's got fingerprints all over it, but it's not scuffed and trashed or anything. There's some kind of gluey substance back here, but that'll probably come off. You know, just giving it a general look over, when I'm done with this, I should be able to make it look close to new, which is really, really cool. For those of you curious, you can tell about how old it is. This is a China one. So that would make it newer. The older we went from Korea to China and then to Indonesia. So this is China. But my guess is somebody probably bought it, wanted to learn to play, and then never did. So I'm going to take this apart and fix it up, and you can see the little pawn shop sticker and the red tag and all that stuff. So that's all going to come off, and we're going to polish this up, make it clean, make it pretty, make it play good, and then we'll probably find it a new home, or maybe one of my boys is really interested in it, but I'm gonna bet probably not. But I was bored. I don't expect to make a ton of money with this, but I'm a little bit unconventional when it comes to guitar repair, and I'm not a super duper expert when it comes to guitar repair. So rather than working on a $1,000 guitar, I work on guitars like this, $100 guitars. Or $150 guitars, or whatever you want to call them. We work on budget guitars right now, and I think I can spiff this up and make it look like it just came off the showroom, and I think I can make it play better than it did when it was new. So that's my challenge. Let's go. Okay, so she's on the surgery table. I'm not going to make this a long, drawn-out process. I'm basically going to, because it's crazy. I rub my fingers over this. There's like grease. I can like draw swirlies in the grease. It's nasty. But the guitar itself, it doesn't look bad. I'm just going to be taking everything apart. We're going to take it down to wood, and we're going to take the rancid old strings off of it, and I'm going to pop the electronics out, and I'm going to just end up with a couple of blocks of wood, and then we'll make some adjustments. I don't think this is too exciting to watch, so I'm just going to do it, and then we'll come back. Okay, so the neck's off. Yay. Seems to be okay so far. No issues. Fretwork looks good. They're not worn hardly at all. It's really dirty. But here's my minor annoyance, and this is common on a lot of guitars like this. The screws are still stuck in the wood. They didn't bother to drill these all the way through. So I've just got these stupid screws stuck in the body, and I still got to keep turning them and turning them. Electric screwdriver is your friend. Okay, second positive. The screws on the strap buttons are actually pretty beefy, and they have some good length to them. They hold in there well. This is a plus. I know this is a cheap guitar, but it's an okay cheap guitar. I think for those of you who are connoisseurs of cheap guitars, or owners of cheap guitars, or people who work on guitars, understand that there's okay cheap and then there's unacceptable cheap. And so far this is a very acceptable cheap guitar. Hooray! Good project. I picked a good one. So progress is happening. I'm actually surprised. They shot a nice finish even under where the pickguard went. That's nice. Finish actually looks pretty good other than this greasy whatever it is on there. Got these loose. This bridge nuts here, the bridge bolts, whatever the hell you call them. There's a ground wire that comes up and goes to those, and then the pickup. And these just go through a thin wire back to the pots, so those will have to be desoldered. I'm going to not take the studs there for the bridge out. I'm going to leave those in. So we'll just have to desolder the ground wire, which is apparently right there. And then the pickup appears to go here. So we've got pickup goes there and here. So yeah, the shield part goes to ground, this goes to that one right there, which is fine, and then the ground wire goes to that ground and to this right here. So we'll warm up the soldering iron, take those off, and then we'll have all of the electronicals out of the body. Okay, so since this is a technical channel, we'll desolder together. For stuff like this, there's no need to necessarily get out the solder sucker. We'll just put a little bit of fresh solder on the tip here. Make sure our tip is clean and shiny. And then I should just be able to do a little touchdown right next to the wires I want to remove. And they should want to come off. And if they don't, because it's on the back of this pot, add a little bit of solder, maybe turn up the heat on our iron a little bit. It should pop off without too much fuss. Come on, Nelly. Make sure we get her nice and molten. Okay, so zapping myself with the soldering iron or burning myself, that's electro boom territory. That's not our channel here. Okay, I'm apparently going to have to turn this iron up hotter. It doesn't want to desolder from the case of the pot. Man, that sucks. Let's see, this one will probably come right off. Yeah, that came off right there, no problem. And this wire over here, that'll probably come right off too. Okay, yeah, that comes right off. So we're just wrestling with the surface area of this casing on the pot, absorbing too much of my heat, and it's ruining my mojo, man. There we go. Okay, and the ground wire broke off. That's lovely. Okay, so let's see if we can just scrape that off. We can make that a little longer. To. This one actually molten up for me or not? There we go. Come off of there. There we go. So we lost a little bit of our ground wire, but that's what, a 1/4 inch or whatever. So it is what it is. And then we need to get this to come off of there. Which all of these other things that are all grounded to the same point, I'll probably all want to come to. Because that's the way things go for me today. That's port wire. I'm just going to cheat because there's only a little bit of it there, and we've got 3 other things already soldered to that. So if we shorten that up by 1 millimeter for all of you Euro folks, that ain't going to kill anything. So there we go. Alright, pickup's going to be free, ground wire's free. So this pile of electronicals should come out. So for that zip tie, so there's our pots. Yay. And I actually did bother to put the nuts back on them, so I'm not going to lose them. And then now if I flip this over and give our pickup a pull, there we go. Now we got a pickup, and we essentially have a naked guitar body that we can clean. Yay. So let's talk about how I clean it, because it's a little bit unconventional. Be back in just a second when I get the cloths. Okay, under normal circumstances one would use guitar polish or something to clean this up. But this thing is greasy, and especially on the other side. The back here isn't as greasy. But we've got all this greasy nastiness. So we're actually going to use a degreasing cleaner. This stuff you cut with water and make it nice and light. But this is a heavy polyurethane finish. This is not a beautiful lacquer that we have to protect. So just cleaning it up with this kind of nasty household cleaner. And if you notice, most of this gluey, nasty junk right here comes right off. This stuff will not hurt a poly guitar, not even close. And what looked like they were scratches or whatever apparently are just gluey marks, and we're already looking a ton better. We do have a little bit of scuffing back there, but we'll deal with that in phase 2. So we're just wiping all the dirt and grime off, and then we'll flip it over and do the other side. I'm going to give this a polish again in my unconventional method. So getting all of the greasy off of here. This right here, this is so greasy. I don't know how to explain what that is, but I don't even know what it is. I don't even want to know what it is. So we'll just put a little bit more degreasing cleaner on it. Get the wipe down. And she already looks years younger just with wiping it off. So people, wipe your guitars off. Make them look years younger. That one you're going to sell on Craigslist, for Pete's sake, clean that thing. You're going to increase the value. That's how you raise the value of things. You clean them and you make them look nice so they are ready to use. See, the thing is, if I were buying this guitar, I expect the price to be lower because I have to fix it or clean it up or get it ready to use. If the thing is completely and totally ready to use and ready to go right to a show where I can just take it right off the shelf, it's already set up, it's already got new nice strings on it, and all I have to do is plug it in and play the show and rock everybody's tail off, that's worth more money, right? That's how it works. Yeah, see, this cleaner's just taking all the junk off. And I use this on the neck and on the fretboards and everything else with a little toothbrush or some kind of brush to clean the junk up, and we'll do that when we do the neck. But there you go, kids. We've already cleaned up the body of the guitar, just cleaned it. We're going to polish it and make it look real nice. And again, a very unconventional way of doing that. See, okay, boys and girls, if this kind of thing upsets you, look away now, because we're about to do something very unconventional. We want to polish all the fingerprints and smudges and nasties out of this guitar, and I do this a little different than everybody else. This guitar is a very tough poly finish. This finish can take a lot. Car wax. Car wax. So we'll put car wax on it. I know, some of the guitar guys are like gritting their teeth, going, oh my gosh, that's not Gibson polish. Tough cookies. And then what do you use with car wax? a car waxer. Yeah, seriously, this is a cheap car waxer that falls apart. Okay, memo to myself, get a better car waxer. But we'll get this put back together, and we will wax the crap out of this. And I'll see you when we're done. Just in case any of you didn't think I was serious. I have done this to more expensive guitars. I'm not quite done, I still have to wipe it, but that's a mere finish, people. This does work. It's okay on a polyurethane finish. Okay, well, good day. It's actually the next day. Yesterday work got stopped short because of an accident. We had an accident yesterday in the workroom here, and we got a big yucky ding in the guitar body. Yucky bad ding. So that is busy drying, and then it'll be sanded and coated and whatever. I'm fixing that. But I thought we would work on the neck here. Step one is just going to be to take off the tuners and hardware and clean. These frets actually look really good, but everything else looks filthy, and we have a lot of sticky, nasty, gooey crap on the back of the neck. We'll probably try to leave these stickers intact and just polish around them, but we got some sticky stuff here from the tapes and whatnot. I'm actually very impressed at my work there on the ding. We're doing this, everything we're doing here is done the cheap way, and we filled in the lion's share of our ding with a little bit of wood filler, and our finish, since it happened along the edge of the sunburst, just like our neck, it's essentially black. That's nail polish. Nail polish is a lacquer, right? So just paint a little bit of that on, sand it, polish it up. What's really weird is most anything you need to fix a guitar you can find at the auto parts store. Yeah, mind blower, huh? So we're going to take the tuners off of this and we'll clean and polish the neck. Big, exciting stuff. Okay, so while I was working, I decided to pop a cap off of here. These look pretty much like a Kluson style tuner, like you find on a typical, well, lots of guitars, but sort of a vintage Gibson style. I'm sure this is a generic form, but this worm gear here fits really nice and snugly in there. So if the worm gear doesn't wobble around, this looks like it would hold tune okay. So if that proves an issue, then we'll go back at it. But at this point, I'm going to declare that this set of tuners is acceptable for the guitar, because this, you know, not being a tremendously expensive guitar, you're more function over form, which this being an expensive guitar is probably why I didn't cry my eyes out when I dinged it like a bozo. But you know, if you're going to make mistakes on this and you're not a veteran of guitar repair, you want to make your mistakes on inexpensive guitars, because Dave's World of Fun Stuff is where you can really learn how to fix guitars good. If you want to watch somebody who knows what they're doing. And I learned a lot from that channel, as well as from one of our luthiers around here, who's also very good. So anyway, but what I can tell you is, in terms of finishing and things like that, a lot of the sanding supplies and the polishing supplies and all that kind of stuff, you can get stuff that'll work just fine at the auto parts store, especially for a budget unit. You don't want to break the bank fixing them if you're gonna, you know, do what I do, rescuing things from the pawn shop, getting them playing as good as they can, and then finding them a new owner. It's kind of a charitable thing that I do. Try to help out some broke musicians and get them a good workable guitar, because if you go to Guitar Center, you probably already have a guitar with dings and chips in it, because it's already been, what, out there for the 3-year-olds to play with. And if you're buying it at a pawn shop, you might very well be getting a longbow because the neck hasn't been adjusted, anything. It's just been something somebody threw in the attic until they forgot about it and then went broke and needed cash. So, yeah, the frets on this don't show duly squat for wear. So, clean dude's DNA off of here and back in business. Okay, so we have a brush, Brillo Basics. This is a Dollar Tree brush, you know. But we use our same cleaner here. The basement down here, the humidity is about 40%, and this fretboard is dry as a stone. So I'm not going to leave this stuff on for too long, but I'm just going to make some brown bubbles. And we're making a lot of brown bubbles. Oh my goodness, that's pretty awful. So we'll make some brown bubbles and then wipe them off, and we'll go 2 rounds. Dirty, dirty, dirty guitar. And then we'll wipe that down, and then we'll see where we are. You know, if I were using a white towel, then I could show you all of the gross stuff that I get off of here, but I can already tell this is looking better. It's looking like an okay piece of wood now. What is this? It's just a mark of tarnish of some sort. And then we'll rinse and repeat and do one more scrub down, and ooh, look at the gross stuff in the brush. We'll wash the brush. Okay, continue this, and then we're going to flip it over and wipe all the dirt off, basically with the rag and the cleaner. Exciting, you know. Okay, so the dirt is off of our guitar neck, and the moisture on the fretboard is drying up, but we're going to put fretboard oil on that. But as far as the back of the deck and everything else, we're just going to car wax it like we did our other piece, and that should suffice. Usually does a pretty good job and gives you a great, slick, good feeling guitar neck. So I know this is really exciting. Let's watch me make the polishing gesture. Polishing. And the car wax doesn't ever seem to mess with the stickers or anything. And if you got one spot that looks a little crummy, you can kind of get in there and work it real good, and it'll take minor scratches out too. So yeah, old crusty guitars. Just get some good quality car wax and have a field day with them. And if you need to, grab your buffer. You know, just make sure it's not as crappy as the one I have. Get a better buffer, and then have fun waxing your guitar. From what I derive, I talked to a luthier friend of mine, and he actually said that the car wax is okay on the Gibson finishes too, on the nitrocellulose, but don't quote me on that because I haven't bothered to try it. I only do it on cheap poly guitars. Okay, so that looks really brilliant, man. I can see myself in that, and that's cool. That looks really good. Yay! And now we'll do something about our stone dry fretboard. My gosh, is that stone dry. Let's go get some fretboard oil. Okay, so fretboard oil. With the linseed oils or stuff like that, a lot of times you just, you know, a couple drops on, rub it on, and then wipe it off. But when I've got one that's just stone dry, I'll generally see how much it'll absorb. Because this one's pretty thirsty. Man, is that wood stone dry. Not good. Not good. People, this stuff is cheap enough. Get it. Put a couple drops on the fretboard every time you change your strings, and then you won't see me down here in my basement cursing you for giving me a guitar with a stone dry fretboard. This prevents cracks, people. See, no to crack. Yeah, you can see this thing's like almost absorbed all this oil up here at the top already. A lot of it. So I'll leave this on for just a few minutes so it can absorb, and then we'll wipe it all off. And then we'll look at it later and see if we need to do one more coat, but it should be pretty good. Yeah, we'll let that soak for a minute and then we'll wipe it off, and then we'll start putting the guitar back together, I think, because we should have everything cleaned, and by that point I'll have fixed my dent in the dang body. And I know you probably all want to see me fix the dent, but until I'm happy with the way the dent goes, it's going to be a video full of cursing and frustration, because I'm still learning this art. If this were a guitar amp, I'd be in there asking a few questions, grabbing the soldering iron, doing a few experiments, and I'd be done. I'm a little bit better on that stuff than I am with the woodworking, but I will win. It just takes a little bit of patience and trial and error. Cheap guitars are awesome for learning things. Yeah, oh, by the way, I said I dinged it. I wasn't kidding. That's a chip. That's how bad we dinged it. Yeah, don't ask. Just don't ask. I don't even want to talk about it. And that's only part of it, because it's bigger than that. Okay, boys and girls, I'm back. It's a few days later. Remember I told you I severely damaged the body? Well, let's take a look at that severe damage. Well, never mind. I guess it doesn't exist. No, I did fix it, but we went from being a, we'll say a 3-foot guitar to a 5-foot guitar. You have to be looking a little closer. You have to be looking a little farther away before you miss it, but I fixed it. And why didn't I go through and film that and teach you all how to do it? Because I didn't know if I could do it or not, but I did. So, sunburst finishes, wet sanding, wood filler, and black nail polish, which is actually a lacquer. You can paint that and polish it, and it will look really good. If you're curious what got damaged, it was right over here. It's a big, giant-ass chunk out over here. I mean, it was big-ass, giant chunk. So this is a 720p camera. So I'm just going to play that it didn't happen, because this is a fun project guitar. It's not a serious guitar. This is not a mega dollar guitar. It's just a pawn shop gem. So we're just going to fix it up and make it work good. Before I start putting hardware back in, we're going to clean hardware, because the hardware is really dang grubby. And what works generally pretty well on this stuff is just good old classic chrome cleaner from the car shop. So I'm going to polish up this stuff, put the bridge pins back in, we'll stick the electronics back in, resolder them in, and work from there. The other thing to be sure of, this type of chrome cleaner, it is a mild abrasive, so don't get that on your guitar, because then you'll put little swirly marks all over in your finish. But again, the car waxer and the wax and stuff will actually work to take that jazz back out if you need to. Now, to get in the corners of this bridge and stuff, because it's just so nasty and so crud filled, I think I'm going to get a toothbrush and kind of go in there and just really try to get all the corners. So I'm just going to polish the chrome. This is not hard. Rub chrome with a rag till it shines to the end. Okay, so it's time to put the electronicals back in. Make sure you put it in slanted forward, and we'll feed this wire through the hole, and hopefully it'll go, and then I won't have to get all mad. Just feed through. Feels like it's going to make it. Did it make it? Did it make it? Huh? Did it? Oh yeah. Get it all the way through. We'll place that back down there. And we got 4 screws to put down. This is really exciting. I know everybody's like, alright, let's just hear your guitar when it's done. Just show me when you're done. with screwing around. And actually I'm noticing crud that got stuck in the polish. There we go. And that's the other problem. Once you wax one of these things, you don't even want to touch it because you get that beautiful mirror finish on it, and then you feel like a dope every time you put a fingerprint on it. But that's what wiping it off again is for, right? Just wipe it off again and it'll be fine. On this stuff, I don't use the power screwdriver because I don't want to risk stripping it. And we'll put the pick guard back on. Forgot to look at what it looks like. How bad is it? It looks really scratchy. So we're going to do the same car wax treatment to it that we've done with the others, and then we'll take a look at it when we're done. Okay, not perfect, but better. Better is good. So let's see, how's that go on? That goes on like that. So now I pick up all the screws from wherever they perchance to be, and we put those in. 3, 4, and 5 of those. Hooray! I don't think you guys really care to watch me tightening screws. We'll see. When I put the neck on, when I found this, the pickup doesn't really have a lot more room to go down, and the action was okay, but I think if I put just a minimal shim in the neck when we put it back on and cock the neck angle back just a little bit, that'll give us a little bit more of a feel that I'm into. That's my style. So I've generally found if I like it, then most of the other people that I know like it too. And I'm actually surprised at how many people who are actually good guitarists will still fight with an instrument that is set up. And they get a hold of my guitars and they're like, holy cow, these things play so awesome. And it's like, okay, thanks, I guess. But that's okay. Alright. Picky guard is on. And there's our electronicals. I will have to redo this wire a little bit because remember this broke. I'm remembering this from 2 days ago. You're remembering this from probably 15 minutes ago. So let's just do a pretty little clip and strip here. Let's see how we do. So far so good. There's our shield on our wire. Get all our shield off to one side. I was actually looking, this is a very, very popular guitar among people who like budget guitars, and apparently this guitar sells online at sources like Amazon for like $139, I think. So I did not get gypped at the pawn shop. Sometimes when I'm buying cheap guitars, there's a new Epi out in the market that actually sells retail for $100 or whatever, and I don't know if that thing's any good or not. Of course, there's plenty of people online that'll tell you anything's good, but I'm not one of those people. If anything, I'm probably the opposite. I'm the guy who complains that everything sucks. And think this, I have to look where this went. I think these two went to the middle and then this was the ground on the edge. I'm pretty sure that was right. And, but rather than guess, I'm going to review the tape or pull up a diagram, because that was 4 days ago. 4 days ago, 4 days ago. So I'm going to double check how that's supposed to be wired. So I can either look at my video or I can just look up the diagram. So we'll put the jack back through the hole and hang it out there. This one's got the cap on it, so that's the tone pot. That would be the one that's farther back, which is kind of a typical Gibson thing. And there's one. And two. So there's still plenty of room to solder in there. I'll screw these to the outside, double check the diagram, and then we'll solder. Okay, never mind. I just caught myself. Not making a mistake, but potentially setting myself up to make a mistake. The toothed washer goes on first to keep the pot from spinning. So tooth washer inside, and then flat washer and nut on the outside. I should remember that from making amps. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I got that right. Sometimes it feels like the guys at the factory do the opposite, like the mirror image of what the diagram says. So let's see, volume, tone. Let's see if it makes noise. Okay, I got sound. And turn the volume down. Okay. Yeah. And these pots feel really good now that I've cleaned the, I sprayed some of my cleaner in there that I do, that stuff. So now let's check tone. So let's turn the volume up and we have, okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so that's good. We can keep reassembling. Gonna put the jack on here and the back plate, and then we'll keep going. Okay, so I'm still putting it back together now that the electronicals work. I put the neck back on it, but I kind of thought about it, and then after I did it and said, hey, dum-dum, you should have put the tuners on first, just for convenience. But we'll stick those on, and then at that point we'll put some strings on it and actually fiddle around with the intonation and whatnot. Okay, so we're kind of back together. I'm going to leave a couple things apart. I'm going to leave the truss rod cover. I'm going to leave that off until I'm ready for it. And we're going to put some strings on it. So these are Web Strings brand. They're a US made string. You can buy them online and they're generally very affordable. There's only a couple of companies that actually wind strings in the US. So there's a lot of brands, but not a lot of actual companies that make them. So just put that in your brain and keep it there. So rather than me starting a war, I'm just going to say that there's web strings are a very affordable option when you want a good grade of string and you don't want to break the bank. How does that sound? And as far as I can tell, I think they're as good as any national string we've ever come across. So what the heck is a guitar string anyway? It's a piece of metal with more metal wound around the outside of it. So with this wraparound bridge, it's literally a wrap around clip. No, it's a wraparound, so we put it in there, and then we wrap around and come up to the top, put it in the peg head and spin it up. And then once we get these on, then we'll kind of see where we're at with height and all that, and when we get the neck and the height and everything the way we like, then we'll double check our intonation. All we have to fiddle with is just our little screws here. Our bridge is supposed to be compensated. It's probably compensated for a set of 10s. So this is a little different than a set of 10s, but we'll say a prayer. See you in a minute. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else. Okay, so here's our guitar. I did some adjustments on the neck and some string action adjustments and things. I think we're in pretty good territory. I wasn't sensing much rattle going up the fretboard. I got a little bit of relief in the neck. It feels good. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to adjust that bridge as best we can. They put intonation spots there on the bridge, and then using the nuts, bolts on the end there, you can sort of adjust the bridge at how far back it sits depending on your string gauge. So I've got the stroboscope out, and I'm going to plug in, tune up the guitar, and then we'll see what its intonation is like. Okay, so I've got the high E generally in tune. I have no idea if you can hear this. That looks okay on the scope. And there's the low E, so they're both tuned on the scope. And then we'll check 12th fret. And the low E is a little sharp, not much. And the high E is sharp enough. They're both sharp. So, because they're both sharp, we'll have to tighten those two up and bring this bridge back a little bit. Probably a little bit more on this side than that. So, this is the boring part where I have to at least loosen all the string tension, make the adjustments, and then we'll check it again. If I can get the bridge good on these two outside strings, hopefully everything else will fall into place. Okay, so I brought that out a bit more, so basically it's just a matter of loosening up all the strings a lot and then bringing those thumb wheels out a bit. Alright, so this kind of slides back, and that'll help you intonate the guitar. So hopefully we can see the stroboscope. Try to get a good shot of it here. Alright, air sickness cam. There we go. Alright. So I have it set to E. There's our high E. That looks pretty good on the scope. Alright. And here's the 12th fret, which is staying in place pretty well. Just check the low E. We have to tune it back up because strings are kind of stretching in a little bit. Okay, low E looks good, and then 12th fret. Those two are pretty much dead on, so that's great. Let's go to what's close to E on the spinner here, which would be the D. D went a little flat. These strings are just stretching in. They're new. They've been on here for a day, but they were only 2/3 of the way up to pitch. D and D at the 12th fret. Ever so slightly sharp, but that's pretty much undetectable. Okay. Cool. And the A string at the 5th fret will play a D if it was in tune, and it looks pretty close to playing a D, so the A must be really close. We'll go check the B next because B is closer to D. Okay. Bring that up to pitch, and 12th fret. Minuscule amount sharp, but not much. So I don't know that I can do a whole lot better than that, because if I go out more than that, I'm going to flatten the other E string. So we'll hear how it sounds. If we have to compensate, we will. There's our A. A in tune. Okay, and A at the 12th fret. Looks really good. I mean, it's showing creepy sharp, but it actually shows creeping sharp on the open, so these are not ultra precision tuners, so if I have just a little bit of movement, look for equal movement when we go to the 12th. And here's the G. Looks good. And 12th fret. Pretty close. Now if I press hard, I can make her really run out, but obviously we don't want to do that. So sounds in tune to me pretty well. So we'll put the strap buttons back on, and I guess we'll give it a final demo and then call this thing fixed up. Yay! Okay, so we're plugged into an Epiphone amp, and here's the Epiphone guitar. Plenty of gain here. There's a lot of brightness from the humbucker, which is a surprise. And it also can go underwater. So, I don't know what song to play because I don't know any good Les Paul Junior songs, I guess. But that's okay. Okay, so I gotta get used to the way it feels, but in general this is just a fine guitar. Let's give it a little bit more gain, try to get the volume under control. Yeah, there we go. It's pretty cool. That's a lot of gain from that pickup. It's a little on the close side, but that gives it more gain. And clean seems pretty enough. If I put the gain to it, it's definitely punchy and crunchy enough. For costing next to nothing at the pawn shop, despite the fact that I damaged it, but you can't tell, so if you can't tell that I damaged it, I didn't damage it. You know, I've got not very much money in it, and I've got a very usable guitar, so if I'm ever going to play a show at some mysterious place that may or may not be safe, this is the kind of guitar you can take. Really gainy pickup. I mean, if I put the volume up, even on a low gain setting on the amp, I'm getting some breakup, so I got to actually roll the volume back halfway before I can really get a clean tone. That's interesting. And I think we got it set up pretty good. That's my hand chunking the string. I'm like, what's that popping noise? So we're able to get all the way up the neck, and we don't have any... So far so good, despite the water noise upstairs. Just kidding. We're doing good. Only 2 strings left to go and all notes have been live. You can hear the reverb kind of wanting to drip. That's the amp. Right. Yeah. I might be banging it out of tune at this point, but I think we got a winner. I think that's a winner. Hopefully you enjoyed watching me work on a guitar for a change. I can do this. I do know how to do this. I just don't do it that often. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.